Let's get started with our first news. Conor has officially been suspended for violating the UFC's anti-doping policy. The Irish superstar has accepted an 18-month period of ineligibility after failing to provide accurate whereabouts information on 3 separate occasions throughout 2020. Under CSA regulations, that counts as a serious violation. As a result, Conor won't be eligible to compete until March 20th. Originally, the suspension was set at 24 months, but it was reduced to 18 since Conor was still recovering from injury and wasn't actively preparing for any fights during that time. Reports confirm that he fully cooperated with the investigation, took responsibility for the violations, and even provided detailed explanations that helped clarify the situation behind those missed tests. What's interesting is that Conor had repeatedly claimed his fight with Michael Chandler was already signed and confirmed. But according to UFC insiders, that's highly unlikely. The organization rarely sends out bout agreements a year or more in advance, making his statement questionable at best. Still, technically Conor could make his return on the much-anticipated White House card scheduled for July 20. Recently, Chimaev shared his thoughts on this suspension and broke down what it actually means. He explained that a whereabouts violation isn't about failing a drug test, but about failing to let the testing agency know your exact location, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There are no exceptions. Fighters in the pool must constantly update their whereabouts so that testers can find them anytime, anywhere. Chimaev pointed out how this can be a colossally difficult rule to follow, especially for someone like Conor, who doesn't live a normal routine. Most people have a simple pattern: they're either at home or at work, and if they're not, they can easily be reached. But for Conor, who's constantly traveling, filming, and promoting, maintaining that level of constant communication is nearly impossible. He even read through the official report, highlighting that Conor's suspension and the expiration date of his eligibility won't actually interfere with his planned comeback. Conor has repeatedly said that his return will happen at the UFC White House card, scheduled for June 14th, where Ilya is expected to headline. It seems Conor's comeback timeline is still perfectly aligned despite this major setback. Move on to another news. Chimaev just dropped a bold take that has the MMA world buzzing. He believes Jon Jones should fight Alex Pereira, but not at heavyweight. Instead, Chimaev thinks Jones should move back down to 205 pounds and challenge Pereira for the light heavyweight title. According to Chimaev, this would be the perfect way to make one of the biggest fights in MMA history actually happen. He said that if he were in Jon's shoes, hearing all this buzz and excitement about Pereira, he'd be thinking about how to make it mean something, how to make it a legacy fight. Chimaev explained, "If I'm Jon Jones and I hear all this talk about Pereira, but there's no title on the line, I can fix that real fast. I can say I'll fight you and I'll even fight for your world title. I'll see you at 205 pounds. And the way Chimaev said it, it wasn't just a suggestion, it was a challenge. Because if Jon were to actually do that, it would completely change the conversation. We wouldn't just be talking about a fun super fight. We'd be talking about a historic clash between two of the most dangerous men to ever step inside the octagon. The man many consider the greatest of all time versus the current double champ destroyer Alex Pereira." Chimaev's co-host reacted with pure shock, saying, "Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Because the idea actually makes perfect sense. Jon Jones has already done everything at light heavyweight. He dominated an entire era, became the youngest UFC champion in history, and defended his belt against a lineup of absolute killers. But now, with Pereira holding the belt and building an aura of his own, a return to 205 would be a massive storyline, one that could redefine Jon's career once again." Chimaev emphasized that this would be a completely different kind of conversation if Jon publicly said he wanted Pereira at light heavyweight. It wouldn't be about who's better or who's stronger, it would be about legacy, about two champions from different eras colliding for ultimate supremacy. Right now, Jon Jones is focused on his heavyweight title defense, but if he ever decided to drop back down, this could be the fight of the decade. Chimaev believes if Jones truly wants to silence every critic and make a statement that will echo forever, the path is clear: go back to 205 and take on Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight crown. Move on to another news. Bisping has shared his thoughts on what could be one of the most exciting future matchups in the UFC. He believes that if Tom Aspinall gets past Cyril Gane at UFC 3021, The fight that absolutely needs to happen next is Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira. According to Bisping, that matchup just makes too much sense, but it shouldn't happen on the White House card. Bisping explained that while the White House event will be massive, its theme is expected to be Americans versus non-Americans, celebrating the spirit of 70-70-76. Since Alex Pereira is Brazilian and Tom Aspinall is British, that matchup doesn't really fit the theme. Still, Bisping said everything lines up perfectly for this fight to happen sometime in early 2026. He suggested that if Tom beats Gain at UFC 3021, then matching him up with Pereira in the first quarter of 2026 would be the perfect way to kick off the new year with a bang. It would be a true historical matchup, with the potential for Pereira to attempt something no fighter in UFC history has ever done, become the first ever 3-division champion. Bisping added that if Pereira loses, it wouldn't be the end of the world. He could simply move back down to 205 pounds and continue dominating there. That flexibility makes the fight even more appealing. He said if he loses, no problem, just go back to 205. But if he wins, you've just made history. However, Bisping also mentioned that the White House card itself might not end up being a full USA versus the world type of lineup. He thinks it could be difficult for the UFC to find enough big-name fighters available at the right time to fill that theme completely. There might be some of those national matchups, but not the entire card. Despite that, Bisping believes Dana White's promise still stands strong. Dana has already said that the White House card will be hands down the best fight card in UFC history. With that level of hype building up, it's clear the organization is preparing something massive. So if Tom Aspinall defeats Cyril Gane and Alex Pereira continues his dominant run, then a showdown between the British heavyweight and the Brazilian powerhouse could easily become one of the biggest fights of 2026, a true clash of champions that fans around the world would never forget. Move on to another news. Charles Oliveira just made a big statement that has the MMA world buzzing. The former lightweight champion says he wants to fight Conor at the highly anticipated White House card. Speaking to the media earlier today, Oliveira said, "When we talk about legacy, I think this would be something huge. Why not have a big fight there? If the UFC needs me, I'm ready." This potential matchup between Oliveira and Conor would be absolutely massive. Both fighters are fan favorites, known for their highlight reel finishes, explosive styles, and confident personalities. It's the kind of fight that would instantly capture global attention and bring an electric atmosphere to one of the biggest cards in UFC history. For Oliveira, it's not just about money, it's about cementing his legacy. He's already proven himself against some of the toughest fighters in the division, and adding a superstar like Conor to his record would be another major milestone. He's fought everyone from Dustin Poirier to Justin Gaethje and shown he can finish anyone, anywhere. But a win over Conor on a stage as historic as the White House card would take his career to an entirely new level. As for Conor, this fight would mark a chance to make his long-awaited return in the biggest way possible. Despite his recent suspension under the anti-doping policy, he's made it clear he plans to come back stronger than ever. Facing someone like Oliveira would be the perfect opportunity to prove that he still belongs among the elite. It's a matchup of two finishers, one known for his striking power, the other for his deadly submissions. Fans have already started debating how this fight would go. Could Conor's precision and knockout ability overpower Oliveira's relentless grappling and ground game? Or would Oliveira drag Conor into deep waters and dominate on the mat? Regardless of how it plays out, one thing is certain. If the UFC books Charles Oliveira versus Conor at the White House, it would be nothing short of a blockbuster. A true legacy fight on a stage that symbolizes greatness, pride, and the spirit of competition. Move on to another news. Sean Strickland has made a surprising statement that's got fans talking everywhere. In a recent interview with MMA Junkie, Strickland said he believes Alex Pereira could actually beat Jon Jones. That's right, the former middleweight champion thinks Pereira might have what it takes to dethrone the man many consider the greatest of all time. Strickland explained, "If there's anyone who can beat Jon Jones, it's Alex. But Jon Jones, that guy can wrestle. That level of black athleticism, that guy can really wrestle." He went on to break down what makes Pereira such a unique challenge. According to Strickland, the thing about Alex is, he's really hard to take down. He's a tough mother to drag to the mat. If you're going to have any success with him, he better be tired because naturally he's got that defensive stance. The guy has the death punch, dude. Ain't going to lie. Strickland's respect for Pereira runs deep. He said that if Alex trained with them regularly, he'd be so damn good because Pereira has that once-in-a-lifetime quality that few fighters ever possess. Alex just has that thing, Strickland continued. Like Chuck Liddell had it. There are some guys who have that death touch, and that's Alex. I love working with him. He's one of those dudes where if you give him even a little bit of advice, he absorbs it instantly and drills it until it's perfect. Strickland also compared Pereira to Magomed Ankalaev, another elite light heavyweight contender, and shared some honest insight. Ankalaev is my boy, he said. As far as skill and ability go, Ankalaev is probably one of the best in the world. The guy can fight. I've trained with him, and if he were to write a book on MMA, it would be a big one. But then Strickland pointed out the difference between Ankalaev and Pereira. Alex just has that little secret sauce. And Ankalaev, as great as he is, doesn't have it. It's clear that Strickland sees something special in Alex Pereira, something beyond technique or athleticism. That rare instinctive power that can end a fight in a single second. And while Jon Jones remains a master of every aspect of MMA, Strickland's point is simple. If there's anyone with the kind of raw, unstoppable force to shake up history, it's Alex Pereira. Move on to another news. Petr Yan has officially accepted Merab's call-out for a fight in December. The former champion responded directly to Merab's challenge, confirming that he's ready to step back into the octagon just 2 months after the bantamweight champ's dominant win over Corey Sandhagen. This would be a huge rematch, and Yan says he's coming for redemption. In their first fight, Merab absolutely dominated Yan for 5 relentless rounds, earning a clear unanimous decision. But now, Yan claims he was only at 50% that night, dealing with lingering injuries and not fully prepared. This time, he says things will be very different. Last time I was compromised, Yan said, I was only at 50%. This time it will be something different. It will be a great and exciting fight. Meanwhile, Merab is on an unstoppable mission of his own. The reigning champion wants to make history by defending his title for the 4th time in a single year, something that's only been done by a handful of fighters in UFC history. Right now, Merab has already racked up 3 successful defenses, tying the record. If he wins again in December, he would officially break it. That would put him ahead of all-time greats like Dominic Cruz and Aljamain Sterling and solidify him as one of the most relentless champions the division has ever seen. Merab's dominance has been nothing short of insane. He's beaten an unbelievable lineup of top contenders, and he's starting to literally LAP the division. Fans and analysts are calling him one of the most unstoppable forces in the UFC right now. There's also been talk of a potential super fight between Merab and Alexander Volkanovski, a clash between champions that has fans buzzing. Even Merab's coach has expressed excitement about that matchup, but Merab himself isn't fully convinced. He said Volk is simply too good, and for now he wants to stay in his division, defending his own belt and building a legendary run. According to insiders, UFC 32-3 is scheduled for December 6th, which would be exactly 2 months after Merab's last fight. Both fighters seem ready and willing. Yan has already confirmed he's prepared to make that quick turnaround, and Merab has made it clear he's pushing for it. If this fight happens, it won't just be another title defense, it'll be personal. A rematch fueled by pride, revenge, and legacy. And this time, Petr Yan promises to show the world his full power. Move on to another news. Gilbert Burns believes Charles Oliveira will finish Matej Gamrot at UFC Rio this weekend. Burns, along with Renato Moicano, thinks Gamrot has little to no chance of stopping Oliveira in a striking exchange. According to Burns, this fight won't go the distance. He's convinced Oliveira will find a way to end it inside the cage. It could be by decision, Burns said, but I don't think it's gonna be by decision. I think it's gonna be a finish. Even if it goes to the scorecards, Charles can still win. The easiest way for Charles to get it done is to defend the takedown, beat the guy up on the feet, and keep stuffing the shots, just like Beneil did. But the difference is, Charles hits harder, has stronger jiu-jitsu, and he's just more dangerous overall. Burns couldn't stop emphasizing Oliveira's power and skill advantage. Charles is just different, man. His hands are more powerful, his grappling is world-class, and his finishing instinct is second to none. I just think Charles is gonna get it done. When asked whether Oliveira would likely catch Gamrot on the feet or lock up a submission, Burns said both scenarios are on the table. After he hurts him, anything can happen. He can finish him with ground and pound or jump on a guillotine or something slick. Charles doesn't miss those opportunities. Once you're hurt, he's all over you. One interviewer asked if there's any chance Gamrot could catch Oliveira with a knockout shot. Burns immediately shut it down. "No way, no way, not happening," he said firmly. Another person added, "I think it's a possibility." Burns laughed and replied, "No way, bro. No way at all. No disrespect, but I'm going to call Charles right now and tell him you said that." It's clear that Burns has full confidence in Oliveira heading into this matchup. He sees a more complete, more confident, and far more dangerous version of Do Bronx than ever before. And with Oliveira fighting in front of his home crowd in Rio, Burns believes the energy, emotion, and momentum will all push him toward another spectacular finish.